Yeah, you're the best. Do the Zoom
No,
thing.
it didn't do it. I'll put it in post. Oh,
Oh,
there it is.
yeah, it's not
Save
in post.
save me
Hmm.
2 hours. That's awesome. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of MasterTech AI Founders Journal. I'm here with Linda, of course, and I'm Dave. And today we are going to be talking about traction. Very exciting topic. We launched our product about a month ago, and yeah, we got quite a bit of traction. So, Linda, love for you to tell our viewers what traction is.
I was looking at a quick like Google search for um definition of traction just to see what they come up with. And so I think one of the quick answers on Google search is as far as I guess in the startup world, it says traction refers to a measure of a startup's progress and momentum in terms of gaining customer interest, user engagement, market demand, and revenue generation. It indicates that a startup's product or services resonate with its target audience and are finding acceptance. So I think that's a pretty decent answer. So at its core, traction is just really, you know, um, progress and momentum, for a startup, which is really everything. So in the earliest days, um, well, post revenue, traction can be sort of more empirically measured in terms of revenue, users, engagement, and those can be tracked very concretely, and in terms of month over month, year over year, is it growing? Is it shrinking? What's the kind of churn rate, engagement? There's tons and tons of standardized metrics once you have a product in market. Pre-product launch, pre-revenue, you can still measure traction for startups. People think that they're you don't have any traction if you're pre-product and pre-revenue, and that's not true. So traction is just really how quickly you're able to make progress really at any stage of your startup journey. So before we had a product and market, we measure our traction by looking at how quickly we were able to establish partnerships and development milestones for getting features done, infrastructure done, right? Like, and recruiting or having kind of the momentum of people joining us, even though, just out of passion for what we're doing and just gaining that kind of traction. So, so yeah, so it's really on all these fronts, and it's sort of the lifeblood of any startup, I would say. Um, but yes, since we have launched our product, we do have some of the latter category of measurable traction in terms of users, engagement, revenue, and everything else. So it's been really exciting in just under 1 month since we launched our new MVP.
So let's back up real quick and talk about what our traction was like before we got VC backed. So we got funded about, what, 3 months ago now, or at least got the interest in the VC backing us back then. And we literally only had like $99 in revenue in MRR. So yeah, maybe you could tell everyone just kind of what our traction was like beforehand that led up to that, and what the VC really was interested in seeing from us.
Yeah, I think so we were sort of trying out different products in the space. So we had launched a different product like last October or so with our pilot customer and shop. That was our, and they're still they're still with us, so they're still using the product on a daily, weekly basis, which is great, and they're finding a lot of value in that subscription with us, um, which is our like service AI service recommendation product for vehicle maintenance and services. Um, so, and so after we had launched that product, we were looking at sort of some, separate paths for whether we wanted to scale that particular product or, try out some of the other ideas that we had. Um, so there were some challenges to scale out the product we had launched with in terms of some of our data agreements and data acquisition, that the requirements were in place if we were to scale that product beyond our like initial pilot shop. And so there was a lot of like hurdles and technical work and partnership things we had to work through if we wanted to scale that product. So it's not just a matter of finding the second customer to sign up. Um, but that's something we're looking at. We're looking at some other um, features and that from our original vision. Um, and and I think the we've always wanted to go back to the original vision of when we started this of building like that AI, that Jarvis, right, for technicians, for mechanics, and um, really that was always the original vision for this company, like for when we started. And and the biggest blocker there was really on the data acquisition, right? To be able to get the set of data that we needed in order for this to be usable in production, right? Because these shops, they need to be able to have very reliable data for all the vehicles that they service, which is really like something like 60,000 unique vehicles on the road today, and growing, right? Um, so back then, the reason we had sort of done a slight pivot to launch the service recommendation product instead was that the data acquisition for kind of the Jarvis vision was going to be pretty hard and pretty expensive, right? Um, so we had kind of looked at some of the data providers in the space, and there's one that uh, would satisfy our needs, but the price range was out of our budget at the time since we didn't have any VC backing and we were just bootstrapped with our personal funds. So we wanted to like start building some revenue and then kind of revisit that plan. Um, so I think with the VC backing, what that changed for us is really just the ability to like remove that particular data acquisition in terms of the pricing portion of it as a blocker for us. So we said like, hey, let's just, like let's go back to that original vision. We think there's actually a higher TAM and market for it and better scalability, and it's sort of the fits aligns more with the vision of what we wanted to build. Um, and so since we got the funding, we went back, we actually acquired the data we needed from the data provider, started integrating it into our product, and kind of like really repivoting our product roadmap, at that point, like 3 months ago, to this new vision. And we set a pretty ambitious goal. We said like, hey, let's get this new MVP to market in 1 month, essentially from when we got when we were able to acquire the data. It was just like at the end of April or end of March, and we said let's launch May 1st, right? Like even though it just gives us 1 month to integrate the data and to build out the MVP and to test it in production and everything. But we were able to do it, and that's how we were able to launch our new product on May 1st. And we've seen yeah, really good traction and growth that's measured in those concrete numbers since then. So it's been really cool to see.
Yeah, one thing that I was unaware of when we started MasterTech a year ago was just how like fluid of a term traction is and how flexible it is. I always thought it was just revenue traction, like, the amount of money that you are getting from customers. That I thought was all that investors cared about in terms of traction. So it's been really interesting just to see us develop Master Tech and get the interest that we've gotten from a lot of these VCs just with very little revenue. And I think a lot of the traction that they've been seeing from us is just the um, really the effort that we've been putting in week over week, the product development traction, the waitlist buildup traction. So there's quite a bit of other things there, like you said, that contribute towards traction. What do you think, Linda, was the traction that Launch saw while we were in Launch University that made them want to back us?
Yeah, obviously I can't speak for them, right? I know they evaluate investments on a set of a lot of different criteria. Like I think Jason talks about this quite a bit on his podcast. There's like 11 different attributes or something that they look at for investment. And I'm sure like other VC firms have, similar, if not like unique measurements that for how they evaluate things, right? Especially if they're like a slightly larger group that wants to kind of standardize how they approach, doing investments. Um, but so obviously can't speak for them on the specifics, but I think the biggest thing is like um I think there's a couple of things based on kind of the some of the conversations we've had. I think is like one is um the space the market that we're in, like I think is pretty unique. So they see like some unique opportunity for AI for automotive repair, which I still don't see anyone really trying to innovate in this space. Is sort of overlooked and underserved, right? So they do see that potential. Like two, I think the founders like us being the right people to tackle this problem, if this is a problem that's, kind of has potential to invest in, right? So, I do think that we have the domain expertise that you bring and the technical expertise that I bring to be able to actually build and ship a product, based on the ideas that we have. And I think three, like specifically on the traction, for in Founder University, we do send them the weekly progress updates for what we were able to accomplish week to week, and that's on, across all of the facets in terms of product, sales and marketing, like partnerships, team, right, and all of that. So I do think that that attraction, that last piece was, played a pretty big role um in there because they were able to see kind of our status and efforts and progress from week to week. That's pretty measurable. And I was and I have been, putting in like probably like 60 to 80 hours a week on this project. And just in terms of um planning out the next big thing we're gonna do and then doing it in like less than a week's time in terms of feature development. And so I think with all these things, I think that that's, kind of um what the potential they saw, but obviously, like, I can't speak for, them, the people who made the decision. Um, but yeah, like I do think there's a lot of potential to make a difference and innovate in the space. And I think it's not just from the financial return on investment perspective, at least it's not for me, right? Because I think it's like it goes back to the motivation uh one we did God knows how long ago, um of like why you're doing this, right? Because all those other things, it's like it's not enough, right, to overcome like I think the challenges of being a founder. But it's like, okay, if you actually believe in the thing that you're doing, right? Like the impact, then I think that makes all the difference.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and in the last 10 months, just so much has evolved in so many different areas and domains for us, I believe. And even just the more that we work on this, the more I have visibility on the issues. And these are issues that I've been experiencing firsthand for the last 2 decades, but just actually seeing them now solved is incredibly exciting and incredibly motivating, which I think is really important for us at this stage, just because working on this thing for the last 10 months, it has been very, very challenging. And but yeah, again, getting the traction has been really exciting this last month, like, 10 months worth of work. And then our first month, we are in about 30 shops, had about almost 200 demo account signups. And yeah, that puts us at, I think, like 2,500 MRR, which is a big jump from the $99 MRR. We still have a very long way to go, but I think it's just been an incredibly exciting month, and just seeing the user activity every day, getting that traction there, getting the traction from the feedback that we've been getting from the customers, that little feedback feature that the team implemented. Um, that was huge, because now we're able to actually see if the responses that the assistant's giving are valuable and beneficial. And I personally have been incredibly surprised by the positive feedback of the responses. So it's been about, yeah, one positive response to one negative response, which is huge for us, I think. And then just your response time in uh, resolving those issues and having the interactions with the customers, I think has been incredibly valuable, and hopefully will minimize churn for us. But at the very least, I think it's been just an incredible process, and getting that feedback from the users is what building a startup is all about. We're building, you're building your startup for your user, for your end user. And yeah, I think it's easy to get caught up in what you want to build for yourself, or your idea of what you want to build, but the feedback is the most important part. So I think for me, that traction of feature development and integrating the feedback loop and everything just has been invaluable, and really setting us up to be able to now get to this next level of traction in the month of June.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty incredible I think to actually get to the point where people are using our product every day. Our new MVP, they're finding value, they're giving like incredibly valuable feedback, and we're iterating based on that as quickly as we can, and that's really going to help us, hopefully find that product market fit, for this thing to actually, make the impact that we want it to make in the industry. So, um, yeah, so it's pretty cool, and there's still a ton of challenges ahead, but we're learning so much, um, you know, uh, like one of the, startup podcasts I listen to, they say like, hey, after you launch your product, that's actually just the starting point, right? It's like you're not actually out of the gate until you do that, and that's when the real journey actually begins, because you're able to much more rapidly like understand what users need, what's working, what's not, and then after that, it's the 99% of iteration that then takes you to product market fit. So, we're just like at the start, really in this thing if we're able to get there, but this is the journey. So,
Yep. And the journey is what it's all about, because it is a long, grueling process from what we've heard from people that have done this before us. And yeah, the expectation really is what, 6 to 9 years or 7 to 10 years of is that what
yeah,
Jason
so that's
always
why it's
says?
only five to nine now because
Okay.
we're 1 year in. So,
Right. So yeah, another 9 years. I
yeah,
think
Jake
I
was like, yeah, because he says this on his podcast, right? You have to put in 100 hours a week for 100 weeks, and that's what it takes for your startup to be successful. Um, it's it's a lot. I don't know, it's if it's like that the specific number is exactly attainable, but I think it's more like the mentality of like, hey, you really have to be prepared for what it takes, if you want to do this thing. And if you're not, you shouldn't do this thing, right? Like it's really the message where, people think that like, oh, it's a get rich quick kind of a scheme, especially people who have not built products or launched products that, somehow they feel like it's really easy and they just hire outsourced development to do it. And then they would just make them a lot of passive revenue. And it's really like the game is not that at all, right? And so it's just like being prepared to, do what it takes.
Yeah. And I think it's critically important to understand like the mission, the vision, like why you're doing it. And I've talked about this in previous episodes, but I really think that this is like the core to be able to have that perseverance and the fuel when times get tough, because you have to like feel to your very core and understand what impact in the world that you're trying to make. Because if you're working on something for uh 3-4 years, and your mission, or it's just to get rich quick or something, you're going to burn out, you're going to get over it. But if you're actually building something and going through all the trials and tribulations of a startup, to actually build something, make people's lives better, uh, then I believe that that's the fuel that you need to make it the 7 to 10 years. And then that just ties back into enjoying the journey, being in the moment and being present, understanding that you are working towards building something that is going to make a big impact. And like for me, that's kind of my center. Uh, when things get tough, is just like it extends out so much beyond the traction that we're getting, and it really gets into like another realm where we're inspiring people. We're going down a path that not a lot of people go down, and inspiring people. I know that, Linda, you've inspired people to do their own startups and take that leap. And I really do believe there's nothing more rewarding than uh, bringing something new into the world. And yeah, it's an incredibly exciting journey. And but you gotta constantly be reminding yourself that it's about the work that you're doing right now. It's about the impact that you're having, and it is a ripple effect. You're making changes, like all these partnerships that we're gaining, um, and even if we do fail, which there is a very high probability still, at least we set the balls in motion and got people thinking about this problem maybe a little bit more seriously. So, and again, in the end, if it is something that you truly care about, something that you truly do want to see in the world, it doesn't matter if you birth it into the world or if somebody else does. And you're just kind of part of uh, this grand symphony, right? Of capitalism.
It's an ode to capitalism.
Well, I wanted to go more philosophical with it, but yeah, we'll keep it grounded to
Okay.
reality right now. So what traction are you most excited about next, Linda, for Master Tech?
Yeah. I I'm excited to see kind of what our traction looks like, a month from now because we I am really, happily like um surprised in a good way, right? For with kind of how much traction we've had in our first month. Um, but there's a part of me that's concerned that like it's like, okay, we did kind of um do some heavy discounts, promotions, right, for these initial set of shops. So, are they gonna stick around? Because I think that's the sign, right? Like that we have something that's really valuable to them if they use it for like a month and they're still willing to stay on the subscription and pay for it. So So that's a big question mark right now. Um, so that we want to get more answers for. Like how, like two is, how we're able to continue scaling this thing, or if we're ready to continue scaling this thing based on, what we want to still improve on the product side, um, and everything else and features and more data. Um, like third is really just we do want to get our B2C product ready to launch in June. So for DIYers to be able to sign up for a subscription if they're not, even if they're not a business that's like a repair shop or anything like that. And really interested to see, right, whether we can get some traction, on that path and on that product. And B2C is a very different, like traction marketing channel than B2B. So yeah, so all these things.
Well, I think that's all that we have for today. Anything else you want to touch on, Linda?
Uh just that I think that actually since our last podcast, we've kind of grown the team. I don't think we
Oh
can
yeah,
talk
more
about
more more traction.
yeah, I don't think we're gonna talk about every person that's worked on Master Tech because some of them are working on it, part time and things like that. Um but it's just been really amazing that now we have a team of 5 people and possibly growing as well of people that um and these are all we've not like gone out and recruited anyone actually or hired, put job postings or hired. We've looked at that in the past and felt like it wasn't the right path for us. So all of these are just sort of like, I guess, in marketing terms, like organic, like inbound, interest, based on just them knowing about us in our networks or hearing about us from um kind of the podcasts we've done or some of the other things that we've done and just really interested to and passionate to help us make this impact in this space to solve this problem in this way and it's really incredible that every person is really driven by the mission and um not as a primary motivation and yeah, we have like such an amazing team now and we couldn't have gotten the traction that we did this month without their hard work and support. So just wanted to yeah, kind of like give a shout out here. We have two incredible software engineers that's working with us, um, on a part-time basis, and we have a great you know, sales lead as well. That's been, really going after getting us new customers. So it's been incredible.
Yeah, it definitely has been incredible, and the whole process of a startup uh, and just building something like this, I think, is really cool because it does naturally attract people that are in alignment with uh, kind of those values and what you need to have in a startup, and people that are willing to jump in and earn equity, which is what we're doing and what founders need to be doing. And yeah, it's really nice having that like cold outreach, like you mentioned. And yeah, we're just so grateful to have them all on board, and they're just perfect teammates and have really helped push this project forward. And we're just really excited to keep things going and make it more official as we get more traction. So um, yeah, thank you, team.
Yeah, you're the best. Do the Zoom
No,
thing.
it didn't do it. I'll put it in post. Oh,
Oh,
there it is.
yeah, that's not
Save
in post.
save me
Here we
2 hours. That's awesome. All right. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in again to Master Tech Journal Series. We are going to be doing this weekly from now on out. We did kind of have a little lull there for a month or so just because we've been really pushing to get the MVP out. But yeah, we're gonna keep pushing, but we definitely are gonna keep you all informed and up to date and part of this process. So thank you all for your support, and yeah, look forward to next time.